Hey guys, welcome back with another video at Linksy. Hope you're having a lovely day. And with the announcement of the Warhammer 3 trailer and the announcement of Kislev, the announcement of Kate, and the announcement of all the Chaos God factions, Slanesh, Tsinj, Khorne and Nurgle, I think it's no better time than to start looking at some mods to quell our hype, to quell our excitement, and wait patiently, if there's such a word, patiently, till we get the Warhammer 3 launch. We're looking at this happening all the way in September 2021, which is currently 9 months away, more or less, 8-9 months away from now, if you're according to when you're watching this. So let's just get straight into it. This submod is an amazingly well designed, very well structured mod, curated and created by the following three people: Decomposed, Chriscord and Dindy. I will of course link all of their stuff down below, as they have a number of different mods that also complement this. I am using the following. I'm using the Better Unit cards for Kislev Reborn, Mixus mod faction unlocker, which you need to be able to access this in the campaign, the Kislev Reborn, the Katarina submod, and I will explain that later. This is just hype for Warhammer 3. I would not recommend playing with this if you want to play a challenging campaign. Kislev Building icons, the Kislev Reborn, of course you need this. The mod configuration to Reborn, this will help you to be able to use the mods in question. With that said, let's jump straight into it. And the first things we look at is the game itself. You load it up and you can play as two characters. You can play as Katarina, also known as Queen Elsa. She is an incredibly powerful ice sorceress. She wields the power of Kislev and protects the realm from all invaders with her powerful blizzards and ice storms. We've seen what she's capable of in my live stream a few days ago, and we will see again today. Her power is indeed great. And then adding on top of that, the mod that makes her the true Katarina, she becomes immortal. Kislev in general starts with casualty replenishment and untainted for all characters, essentially making them very resilient against the chaos invasion and all of the issues with the ice region they live in. There's a lot of terrain which is uninhabitable and causes a lot of casualties, lots of attrition, and the casualty replenishment and untainted do aid a lot, especially the untainted, since you're going to be the first faction that deals with the chaos invasion. Now, Katarina herself gives extra unit ranks for Kasevniks, Kossars, Keepers of the Hunt, and Streletsy units. Apologies for my pronunciation. She also has 20% upkeep reduction on these units. She starts with the Czechis Patrol, Griffin Legion, and the Crown Guard. I must point out the Griffin Legion themselves are not on Griffins, and it seems that the mod is still working on it, or else I am not aware of this, but apparently they just painted their horses red and white, which could also be the case. As for the Kislev themselves, they are a cavalry mounted with very weak infantry units, so similar to Bretonia. However, they have really strong cavalry archers and they have really strong artillery compared to Bretonia. They are divided into three traditions. We have the Gospodars, which is the heavy cavalry, the Ungols, which is the horse archers, and the Kislevites, which are a combined. Right, basically this is where the religious fanaticism comes in, and this is essentially similar to the Empire in that case. They work with the resilience mechanic, which is a really good mechanic. Again, this is in this mod that functions, and I'll explain that later on. The other character you can play is Boris Boka, or I understand is Katarina's father. He's a really strong boyar, one of the lords you can hire, and has similar effects. He does start with public order bonuses instead, and all units get +1 rank. His faction effects, his lord effects are much stronger, where he gives cheaper buildings, more ammunition for his army, for the artillery units, and Sons of Ursun, which are the Bear Riders over here, get more melee attack. Anyway, so of course, as the faction of Kislev, you start in the city of Kislev. You also start with the cities of Astra over there. What I really like is the unique icon mechanics that they have. Their building tree is quite extensive and very heavily modded, and since they have a really complete unit roster. They have anything from the Krem Guard, which is great axe shock infantry. They have a bunch of different infantry over here, which are split between gun units, archer units, and some close quarters infantry. You can also get some saber troops over here, such as single warriors. And then mostly the rest of the faction is built around horses, and we shall be seeing an army later on in the video. But I quite enjoy the fact that they have relatively balanced army, and it kind of works. The cavalry is good. It's good for Warhammer. It's saying something. I enjoyed using it. It requires a lot of micro, of course, as any cavalry in this game does, but it did really well. I also like the fact that you can get Sons of Ursun, which are basically bear riders. Understandably, these are essentially Demigryph Knights on like reskin to look as bears, but this is absolutely fine. They also have a really interesting set of artillery. They have light cannons, they have big cannons and grand cannons. They also have war wagons, which don't suck, which is saying something. Armor piercing mobile fortress. It's not the same as war wagons in the Empire. They're slightly better, even though I'm not sure how well they would work on legendary, since I play tested this on hard. The reason I play tested this on hard was to see how you guys would enjoy it. There's the Ice Witch Palace, which gives you ice magic, and that is another thing we'll need to look at. When you look at recruiting heroes, you can get Priests of Ursun, you get the Droyaskas, the Boyars, and the Witch. The Droyaskas, I believe, are they fight with blades, and the Witches, they're basically just your magic users, and you have 3 different lords of magic. We'll jump into that later. As with the where is she? Legendary Lords, the Khan Queen. You essentially get her after you've completely confederated or conquered all of the northern regions. At the same, when you play with her, that's how you get Boris Boka. Now, in your campaign, you have the faction mechanic of resilience, and resilience works in a way that you lose resilience every turn. As a base, you lose 5 resilience per turn, from what I understand, but then you start getting it from buildings, technology, unit upgrades, and from battles with forces of evil. For example, if we were to go and beat up Troga over here, we will be able to see the effects of that. Troga, we should be able to resolve this, yes. These are really cool units again, but as you see, the cavalry does really well, especially the Sons of Ursun, which are a really nice unit in general. And you get resilience. I clicked that automatically, and the resilience will give you different things. So if the more resilience you have, wait, where is it? It's split between 0 to 50, 50 to 100, 100 to 150, and it keeps going up. The more you have, the more bonuses you have, the less you have, the more negative effects you have. Quite similar to the Skavid mechanic of food. If you have a lot of it, you're going to be doing really well. If you don't have a lot of it, you're going to really suffer. You can also use this as point upgrades for your troops and giving them a little bit of buff to different units. These are based on their different lords, and each unit gets its own little upgrades, very similar to the Wood Elves mechanic and the Orcs mechanic over there. So it's something really nice to see. With regards to the talent trees, there isn't really that much different. It's very similar to the Bretonnian talent tree. There are some unique mechanics, of course. They have also unique icons, as you can see in there, or rather they move them around from different factions. But there are some cool things that you can get, and essentially it's quite strong in general. Urskin is really good to get. It's basically just a massive bear to fight on. And then they have this unique talent tree where you have bonuses to physical resistance for the army, artillery units, etc. Really cool to get, really cool to see. With that said, let's just jump into a campaign which is much later on and see how the game manages. This is the campaign from my live stream, which I am currently about to face off against the Chaos Army, the first invasion, along with Katarina and her army. And since we have the mod that makes her really strong, believe me, this is gonna be a hilarious fight. That's gonna happen, and we'll show that off in a second. But that said, looking at the campaign, you may notice I called everything Kislev, because everything is Kislev, and Kislev is everywhere. Everyone is Kislev, but there is only one Kislev, and that Kislev is every Kislev. It just it's just something that I did in the campaign. People were calling names Casino Kislev, yeah, because this got switching hands a lot. But yeah, the campaign, Mercy, shout out to Mercy over here. This is when he gave me a raid during the live stream, and it went really well. Kislev the Third, new Kislev over here, Kislev wannabe, Casino Kislev, Kislev just south. As you can see, the campaign is going very well on hard. We're on turn 99. Again, it was easier because Katarina over here, looking at her stats, she's just an absolute immortal. Without the Katarina submod, she's still very, 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 very strong. It's just not as strong as this, which of course makes a difference. Her army is something I would recommend. The Kossars are really strong themselves, and then a couple of shock units. I had to remove some of her army because it was not needed in her case, and I needed more troops everywhere else. Boris over here has his Ungar cannons, which is basically a organ cannon from, as you can see over there, and lots of these gunners which are ridiculously powerful, like incredibly powerful. They also have a really strong melee strength, so for a tier 3 unit I really like them. Of course they don't do that well against higher tier units, but since they're range units they tend to, I compare them to Sisters of Avalon, just slightly weaker because they don't have the AoE damage that they do. Meanwhile, from frontline, I really like the Cavanist units. They're basically hand bombs from the Vampire Coast. Really, really nice to play with, and they do a lot of damage. I had just recruited Boris over there as I was trying to subjugate some of the northern tribes while waiting for chaos. If we look at Kislev itself, different buildings as we showed earlier, and if you look at the witches, which is essentially just the mages, we have Celestial Wizard, Hag Witch, and the Ice Witch. We cannot recruit them currently because they are higher tier units, and I haven't built their building. I think the Ice Witch I could have gotten the Hag Witch, but I need to start building that building tier, which I didn't focus on as I tried to build an economy. The economy is slightly slow in this mod, which kind of makes sense because it's a very frugal faction in itself, but it is quite amusing to just go along. Anyway, with that said, let's see how they do in battle by moving Madame up here, and we'll just move her here. Do that, since they took all some damage, and turn. So we're going to jump straight into this fight. We're not going to use anything but Katarina herself, and I'm going to showcase her magic, and then we're going to just show all the units that they have in a custom battle, and show the unit models. They have really well designed unit models that are very, very, very beautiful. I mean, just looking at these are basic units, and they're all custom skins on their units. These are pistoliers with custom skins, but still look really, really cool. The boyars themselves are really nice, although they should be riding bears. They should have the option of ride bears, and I like the Great Axe that they use, and the Celestial Wizard is normal. Katarina herself, she had an ice sledge with these ice horses, which are just absolutely gorgeous and very well designed. Interesting, she sometimes sit on her sled, so that's really cool. So she comes over there, cause that some extra magic, and we're just gonna march forward. She has Glacier Burial, she has Invocation of the Ice Storm, Midwinter Kiss, Shard Storm, Shield of Cold, and Wind of Ice. What I found to be the most effective is essentially this spell, and the moment she casts it, she wipes out entire armies. Keep in mind, the damage is doubled in this mod, but when I say doubled, it means that it's still that strong in it is still very strong in not. One second, let's take that out before that thing kills us. It's still very strong even if it is not using the spell. So I would highly recommend testing it out, but be understanding that she is just a ridiculously powerful lord. As you can see, look, this entire army is just dying. We killed 66,000 damage, and we just killed so much of them. She also has this, which is essentially a purple sun Ceres, which just explodes and just does that thing. Cast another midwinter sun, and it just does, yep, midwinter's kiss, and that's the army gone. There's no hope for this army. Wind of Ice is essentially, I thought it was going to be like similar Wind of Death, but it is not the case. I'm not sure why they're not attacking her. They usually, okay, they're bunching up on her now. And even if they get up till there, they're gonna do a lot of damage. She also gets the Beloved of Kislev. Wow. She gets some extra buffs. Alright, yes, fast forward and finish this off. Bonk. And that army is gone. The one thing I do like doing, and I find really enjoyable to do, is what I'm about to do next, and I'm working on trying to make a video specifically just on that. Her chariot, from what I understand, works very similar to Grom and the Pontius chariot, which is really cool. Yeah, we took no damage there, and we wiped them out, as you can see. She can become this strong if you level her up correctly, but of course, just when you can put the mod in for the extra little kink, you know, for a fun campaign while we're waiting for Warhammer 3. And I hope you're excited for that, as it is happening. What is happening now? Okay, recording. There you go. And of course, as we said, this is the resilience mechanic where you gain money, you gain resilience, but then you lose campaign movement range. You can also execute captives. In this case, I'm just going to do money. And now they're going to keep attacking us, and we're just going to keep pressing auto-resolve till we die. They're going to keep coming one by one, and it's all good. And as you can see, this is how strong she makes the... Oh man, I laughed so hard. And if you fight every single one of these battles, you're not going to lose a single unit. So looking quickly at the entire roster, there are over 40 units that you can have in the campaign. So starting over here, we have the Dryoska, which is basically an Empire Captain model. It has anti-infantry, armor piercing, and armor damage. It's like it's armored, and it's a hero unit. Of course, there's Katarina over here, which we saw earlier. She's still it's balanced for custom battles. Okay, then there's the Hag Witch, which is a remodeled of the River Troll Hag. But she has the model, yes, but the voice is from somewhere else. She has different magic, also ice magic, but mostly it's blessing, so it's supporting the army and reducing the effects of the enemy army. This guy is the Priest of Orsun, which essentially just gets on top of a bear and charges in. It is the equivalent of the priests or warrior priests of the Empire, but damn, riding on a bear is much more badass. And over here we have the Boyar, which we also already saw. Starting with the infantry first, we have let's see, where's the weak infantry? Okay, they messed up. Alright, let's start with these. These are defenders of Alexstrandrov. These are a regiment of renowned. They are very well designed unit, super strong, unbreakable. They're essentially a two-handed great sword unit from the Empire, but they do quite a lot of damage, so quite like them. They're quite armored as well. We're looking at the basic spear units. Again, the Empire spear units, remodel, nothing really to speak about. I really like the Ungol warriors over here, who are very strong. They're kind of berserkers. You charge them to the side. Another regiment of renowned unit, which is the Stargard Militia, which is a heavily armored axe infantry. Does decent. These are literally the berserkers. This is a regiment of renowned. It's a berserker unit from the Norscan roster, remodeled to look like good Norscan units. They're decent. They're decent. They actually do damage against beasts and large units, so not beasts against infantry. Thor's Guard, which is one of my favorite units. They're just a hammerer units, but in human shape, and damn, they're fun to use. and the Kreml Guard, which are the non-regimental unit of Thor's Guard, which are using a large axe. Heavily armored, really staunch, they hold the line really well. Moving on, we have the Chekists over here, which are essentially like hand and close quarter infantry. They shoot, they have decent missile damage, but then they also hold the line quite well. After them, there's the Kossars, which are the bow units. Nothing really to speak about. I kind of like what they're wearing, their cloaks and coats and everything. After of them comes the Keeper of the Hunt, which are essentially Sisters of Avalorn unit slash what they are, Huntsman unit. They're very good. Vanguard deployment, anti-large stock. They're going to do a lot of damage. My favorite unit is, of course, the Streletsky, which are great axe and gun infantry. They are going to do so much damage. You can have an entire army just of these, and they're going to pretty much kill everything. They're really strong. There is also the Regiment of Renowned Gersos Riflemen. They are stock, armor piercing, and vanguard. Again, every single one of these units has so much detail. Finally, we have the bomb throwers, the Kavansis. They are axe infantry, but they have bombs that they throw. They have 6 bombs, but they can do a lot of damage with them if used properly. The next units are my favorite unit in the entire roster, which is the Sons of Ursun. These are bear riders. They ride on top of bears. They're winged hussars on top of bears. If this is not in Warhammer 3, I don't know. But of course, from the trailer, we've seen that this is already, so I'm really excited to see that, as that's going to be really cool. There is, of course, some basic infantry over here. These are just, basic cavalry, just fighting cavalry, hit and run tactics with them. Then there are, of course, the Circle of the Bear. These are, again, winged hussars, but they ride horses. They are quite strong. They're high elite units. The Griffin Legion, I'm not entirely sure why the horse is painted like that. I think it's either that they paint the horses to look like griffins, or they just have not yet implemented the model into the game. The Borsgard's Rota over here are just hammers on top of horses. Again, really cool. I really like the wings on all of these units. And finally, Rota of Dawn and the Winged Lancers, which are a copy of each other. The Rota of Dawn are, of course, the Regiment of Renowned, which do extra damage and have fire and magical damage in their melee attack. Moving on to the missile cavalry, we have the Ungol Krug, which are basic javelin units. They're okay. They're nothing special. Didn't even use them that much. They're going to be really useful. The Ungol Horsemasters are where it's at. These guys have really strong melee and missile damage. They have 18 ammo, but then they also do very well in melee fighting. Then the Chekist Patrol, again, quite useful. They run around, shoot, and do a lot of damage. Finally, they actually have very good war wagon units, because these war wagon units have 240 ammunition. They are relatively fast with 80 movement speed, and their missile strength is very high with 67. So they're going to be doing quite a lot of damage. They also have the upgraded version, which is the war wagon, similar to that, similar to the bow unit. They have the gun unit, so it's going to do a more armor piercing, and it's just generally stronger with more armor and more range. Similar range, actually, no, shorter range, but then they are also weaker in terms of movement speed, and they do armor piercing, however, which is really important. Then the Ungol Horse Archers, basic archer unit. Finally, the last 3 special units are the Gulter Stresky, which are just, I believe, the same as the rifles we've seen, just an upgraded version, and the bear unit, which you can get in defense of towns. With regards to artillery, we have the Guns of Ursun, Orogon gun, which is, again, as we said, a organ gun that is looking very nifty indeed. There are, of course, the light cannons over there, and I like this. This is the Grand Cannon. It is essentially Queen Bess on steroids. The model is exceptionally beautiful. It looks like it's been imported into the campaign, but damn, it is really well made. I am very impressed. Like, even the small details on top of the gun over there, that is really good. for this game. And then they have the Bell Cannon Ursun, the Regiment of Renowned unit, which is just an extra unit. Okay, I rushed through these because it took me 7 minutes to mention every single unit. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and tell me what you want to see for next week. I'm going to be doing one of these per week whenever I can, and hopefully should manage relatively easily. With that said, hope you're having a lovely day, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.